Today I want to talk about learning a language fast. Now, when I say fast, I mean over a shorter period of time. But if we look at FSI estimates and things like that, or if we look at the 10,000 hours to become an expert theory, you can see that it's not necessarily the amount of time. You are still going to have to put in a certain amount of hours to get to a certain level. It's just how many hours you put in consecutively that determines how fast you learn a language. Now, if we take an English speaker who doesn't speak any other language and he wants to learn French, then the estimate for that is just under 3 years of studying if you study 1 hour every day. However, if you study 2 hours every day, that basically halves the time that it takes to learn. So you should, in theory, learn it in a year and a half instead of 3 years. And you can keep doing that to shorten the time period down. Now, you don't just leave the video now, because that's not the only thing you can do to speed up your acquisition of a second language. You can put in more hours, but you can also plan better, and you can use better tools and materials to help you along. Now, a lot of people go on about immersion, that people who move to the country where they speak the language learn it faster, etc., etc. But if you think about it in terms of hours, this is obvious, because you are awake for about 16 hours a day, which means that you're immersed in the language for 16 hours a day instead of just studying for an hour a day. And so you can see how that compresses the time that it takes, the length of time that it takes to have acquired the language. Now, in order to learn a language fast, you have to focus on all 4 aspects. There's reading, writing, speaking, and listening comprehension. And if you were going to do this quickly yourself, there's a hypothetical plan of action for dedicating 6 to 8 hours a day of intensive study should get you to a level of C1, for example, in French, in a really short amount of time. Now, other languages like Mandarin or Korean or Japanese or Russian, they are going to take a significantly longer period of time for an English speaker than French. So for reading, you need to build up some authentic reading materials, so books, textbooks, online articles, etc. You need vocabulary building exercises, so flashcard reviews, that sort of thing. And then you need grammar and comprehension. So you need grammar books, analyze sentence structure and grammar rules in text. And then for writing, you need to do things like daily journals to in your target language, describing thoughts, activities, experiences, whatever. Then you need to look at doing creative writing, perhaps essays or short stories or creative pieces or memoirs. And then you need to get feedback from native speakers in order to revise your written work and to make sure that it's all grammatically correct, etc. And then you have to have speaking, so you need conversational practice, and you need conversational practice with native speakers, partners, tutors, etc. You need structured speaking, so you record yourself on specific topics, giving speeches, participating in debates. You do pronunciation drills for annotation and accent reduction and that sort of thing. Listening comprehension, you need a lot of audio materials, native, so podcast, audiobooks, radio broadcasts, etc. Transcriptions for these will vastly improve your comprehension and it'll also help your reading. And then watch a lot of films, television, YouTube channels, etc. in the target language. You're going to need to spend time on vocabulary building and grammar. So spaced repetition software and apps, systematic grammar study with textbooks or online resources. Perhaps practice grammar with exercises in order to apply the rules to your own speaking and your own writing. And then you need to regularly assess your language skills and adjust them. And then try and be consistent and persistent in your language learning. And this is how you can learn a language fast. So all of the things that you would normally do, or the average person would normally do when they're learning a language 1 hour a week or 2 hours a week or even an hour a day, you still need to do all of those activities, but in order to learn the language fast, quote unquote, you need to do that number of hours in a shorter time frame. So it is estimated that to get to C1 for an English speaker in French, you need 1,000, little bit more than 1,000 hours of study. Now you can get that 1,000 hours over the course of 3 years, or you can get that 1,000 hours over the course of 6 months. It's completely up to you. But if you're going to learn a language fast, quote unquote, you're going to do the same amount of time as the other person who isn't learning it fast. It's just that you need to do lots of hours in a shorter time frame. And that will help you learn a language fast. Now, I'm not sponsored on any of my videos, and I don't get any revenue from YouTube, and I don't have a Patreon account. But I am an author and I do write books. And I'd like to bring your attention today to one of the books that I wrote, Accelerated Fluency. And a lot of the details and the information that I'm presenting in these videos is available within this particular book. And if you go to my website, xgipublishing.com, you can click on the link and you can find out where it's available for sale for you online. And if you buy my book, it really helps my channel out a lot. If you're not interested in languages, there are other things about learning that you might be interested in. This is actually one of the best-selling books that I've got, Effective Note-Taking. And it's basically just how to take notes in a business and a learning environment. And it's packed with information about how you can accelerate your writing, how you can take notes, quick notes, that sort of thing. And it's available on Amazon and Kobo. So if you like the videos, please share and like and subscribe. But if you really want to help me out, have a look at my books. And if you buy the book and you like it, it's a win-win for everybody because you get a good book and I get some income from the book. So with that said, let's return back to the video. Now, in addition to compressing the number of hours into a shorter time frame, there are other things you can do to help you acquire the language faster. And that is to use more efficient techniques. Better books, better textbooks, more structured study time, that type of thing. So the more efficient you can be with your resources and the more effective those resources are, then the faster you'll acquire the language because your study is more effective and efficient than somebody who's doing a class once a week. So it's looking out for these efficiencies. Now, some of these efficiencies are: set yourself some clear goals about what you want to learn each and every week and be consistent in the amount of time that you're spending on all of your tasks. Make sure you prioritize important tasks before you start in each session. So prioritize things like vocabulary building, grammar practice, speaking, and listening comprehension based on your current skills. Then make sure you've got a study schedule so you know what you're doing and when you're doing it, and your study schedule aligns with your peak productivity hours. Always use active learning techniques, not passively reading or listening. You need to ask questions, summarize, or try and teach in the context as if you were explaining to someone else. So these sort of active learning techniques will help you. Break the task into smaller, manageable tasks, and try and remove all distractions from your study environment. Turn off notifications on your phone, use website blockers, whatever it is necessary to get in the zone and focus. Now, focus on quality over quantity. So try and aim for short, focused sessions rather than extended, unfocused ones. So concentrate your effort on better retention and understanding and actually looking for quality over quantity. Test yourself regularly on everything you've learned. So after each session, do a test. At the end of each day, write yourself up a quiz for the following day. So this helps you practice memory retention and also helps you remember what you learned the previous day. And at the end of the week, give yourself another test. So periodically assessing your skills will gauge your progress. And so use lots of practice tests, self-assessment tools, all of that good stuff. Try and mix skills together when you're doing a single session. So for example, read passages out loud during your reading study will help you with both reading and speaking skills. Use a variety of learning resources. Don't just have one textbook, have two, a couple of online courses, language apps, and authentic materials. But don't let yourself get distracted by lots of things. Just focus on one material, one textbook at a time, one course at a time, one language app at a time. But you can do each one of these in separate sessions. So you might do a textbook session in the morning, an online course in the afternoon, language apps in the evening, that sort of thing. Make sure you always take a break between these sessions and try and stay positive. Use review a lot. Try and review frequently. Try and embrace your mistakes and learn from them. And then seek feedback as much as possible from native speakers. Always try and get corrections as often, as frequently as you possibly can. So remember, you are going to have to put in the amount of hours. There is no getting around that. You're going to have to do it. The only thing you can possibly do is make your time more efficient. The hours that you're going to have to put in, make them as efficient as possible and compress them into the smallest time frame you can, and then that will allow you to learn a language, quote unquote, faster.